My name is Joyce Lakey, and I'm 31. People love success stories when they sound clean. Like effort turns directly into reward. They skip the part where someone shoves you out the door first, then pretends they helped you climb back in. I should have seen it coming. The warnings had been there for years, written in the language of forgotten birthdays and Christmas mornings where my siblings tore through piles of gifts while I smiled and told myself it didn't matter. Hope is stubborn, especially when you're 17 and still foolish enough to believe blood guarantees loyalty. Graduation day in Oklahoma was hot and blinding. The gym smelled like sweat and floor polish. When they called my name, I crossed the stage, took my diploma, and smiled for the camera. My family didn't cheer. My mom clapped twice. Polite, detached. My stepfather, Gary, yawned. My older brother, Derek, and my younger sister, Madison, barely looked up from their phones. I told myself the real moment would come later. Dinner, cake, a hug, something that said, "You mattered here." It never came. In the parking lot, my mom handed me a backpack. "What's this?" I asked. "Your things," she said, already fishing her keys out of her purse. I looked down. The backpack wasn't mine. "Your thing for what?" She sighed. We figured it was time. "Time for what?" My voice cracked. Gary answered without looking up from his phone. "You're 18 now, Joyce. Legal adult. Time to make your own way." "I'm going to community college," I said. "We talked about this. I was supposed to live at home." "Plans change," my mom replied. She opened her wallet, counted the bills carefully, and pressed them into my hand. "Good luck out there." Madison laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. "Bet she comes crawling back by Tuesday." "She won't," Derek said. "She's not that tough." Gary finally looked up. "I'm changing the locks tomorrow. Already ordered them." And then they drove away. Just like that. They left me standing in my graduation dress and cheap heels, holding a backpack I'd never seen before and $69 in cash. I didn't move. I couldn't. It felt like my body hadn't gotten the message yet. An hour later, Mrs. Patterson, my English teacher, found me still standing there. She didn't ask questions. She just guided me into her car, drove me to the bus station, slipped an extra 20 into my hand, and wrote her phone number on a scrap of paper. "You call me if you need anything," she said. "Anything at all. You're smart, Joyce. Don't let this break you." The bus to Dallas pulled out that afternoon, diesel fumes filling the air. Through the dirty window, I watched my hometown shrink away and realized no one was coming back for me. I unzipped the backpack for the third time. 2 pairs of jeans, too small. 3 t-shirts, none of them mine. Travel-size shampoo. A toothbrush, still sealed. No charger, no medication, no socks, no underwear beyond what I was wearing. They hadn't packed my life. They'd packed leftovers. $89 total, including Mrs. Patterson's 20. I slept my first night on a plastic bench at the bus station. Security woke me at 3 a.m. and told me to move along. I walked until dawn, my feet aching, until a diner opened. I ordered the cheapest thing on the menu. The waitress was older, weathered, sharp-eyed. Her name tag read, Doris. "You running from something?" she asked, refilling my water. "Or towards something?" "Does it matter?" "It might," she said. "You've got that look." I didn't answer. When I left, she followed me outside. "We need a dishwasher. Cash pay. There's a room above the storage unit out back. Ain't much, but it's got a bed and a door that locks." A door that locks sounded like safety. The room was barely a room. Twin mattress, hot plate, mini fridge that buzzed all night. The bathroom was shared with the storage unit, which meant dodging industrial cans of tomato sauce just to shower. But it was mine. I worked nights, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., scrubbing pots until my hands cracked. During the day, I enrolled in community college with financial aid and a grant for homeless youth. I chose business administration because it sounded steady, boring in the best way. Winter came early. The storage room had no heat. I slept in layers, breath fogging the air. During one of those frozen weeks, I got sick. Fever, cough, dizziness. I couldn't afford to stop working. On the 3rd night, Doris found me collapsed in the dish pit. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Pneumonia, they said. I started crying, not from pain, but from fear of the bill. Doris squeezed my hand. "You can pay me back when you're a fancy businesswoman." That kindness shattered me. I cried for hours because a woman who'd known me for 5 months cared more if I lived than the family who raised me for 18 years. And somewhere in those tears, something hardened. If strangers could choose me, then family wasn't destiny. Family was a decision. And from that moment on, I decided I would never beg to be chosen again. I didn't get sentimental after the hospital. I got practical. Doris cut my shifts down to weekends only and refused to argue about it. "You almost died," she said. "I'm not burying you over dirty plates." I tried to thank her. She waved me off like gratitude made her uncomfortable. Focus on school, she added. This is just your starting point, not your destination. Starting point, not destination. I repeated those words like a prayer while I swallowed my pride and did things the old version of me never would have done. I went to the campus food pantry. I signed up for a coat drive. I accepted bus passes, grocery vouchers, and quiet help from people who didn't ask for my life story in exchange. Pride had nearly killed me that winter. I wasn't letting it finish the job. In March, the campus counselor, Dr. Martinez, called me into her office. I thought I was in trouble. Instead, she slid a form across the desk. There's a scholarship for students experiencing housing insecurity, she said. $5,000. I have a room, I protested, above a storage unit. She met my eyes. Joyce, there's no nobility in suffering. Take the help. I did. I used the money to buy a car, a battered 1998 Honda Civic with a stuck passenger door and more than 180,000 miles on it. The first time it started on the second try, I laughed out loud. That car was freedom. I could work better shifts at a different restaurant. I could get to class without planning my life around buses. I could keep groceries in the trunk without worrying about my mini fridge dying overnight. Small victories, but they stacked up. That's when Professor Chen noticed me. The third time I nodded off in his accounting class, he asked me to stay after. You working nights? He asked. Yes, sir. He listened while I told him about the diner, Doris, the storage room. He didn't interrupt. He didn't pity me. I need a research assistant, he said finally. 15 hours a week, flexible schedule, $12 an hour. Good things didn't just happen to people like me. I waited for the catch. There wasn't one. The work was boring and methodical. Data entry, organizing files, but it came with something priceless, normal hours. I quit the night shift. Doris let me keep the room for reduced rent. I started sleeping. My grades climbed. I made the dean's list. You should apply for the Stevenson Financial Internship, Professor Chen said one afternoon. They take 2 students every summer. I'm not qualified. Let them decide. The interview took place in a glass high-rise downtown, the kind that made me feel like I didn't belong the second I stepped inside. The recruiter, Jennifer Walsh, looked me over like she was cataloging strengths and weaknesses. Why finance? She asked. The real answer was because I never want to be abandoned at a bus station again. I'm interested in how capital allocation affects real lives, I said instead. She smiled. That's the polished answer. Now tell me the real one. I want to never be poor again. Her smile widened. Now we're talking. I got the internship. Then everything accelerated. I wasn't just filing paperwork. I was building models, sitting in meetings, catching mistakes. One of the senior partners, Marcus Stevenson, noticed. You've got instincts, he said after I flagged a 6-figure tax error. Ever think about staying after graduation? The office became my second home. I arrived before sunrise and left long after dark. Other interns complained. I didn't. They had parents. I had deadlines. One client changed everything, a woman named Patricia Holbrook, sharp, self-made, and terrifying in the best way. During a review meeting, she asked me what I thought of her portfolio. Too conservative, I said. The room went silent. Patricia stared at me, then laughed. I like her. She's honest. Afterward, she pulled me aside. You've got hunger, she said. I recognize it. She became my mentor. By junior year, Marcus trusted me with projects everyone else avoided. When one nearly impossible startup restructuring saved a client $3 million, Marcus handed me a bonus bigger than my entire first year in Dallas. That's partner track work, he said. Partner track. That word rewired my brain. I graduated, got hired full-time, and never looked back. By 24, I was making 6 figures. By 27, I was the youngest partner in the firm's history. I bought a house, not flashy, just mine. 3 bedrooms, quiet street, trees lining the sidewalk. I filled the rooms slowly. One became my office. One stayed empty for a long time. I threw a housewarming dinner and invited the only people who'd ever seen me at my lowest. Doris, Professor Chen, Marcus, and Patricia. After they left, I sat on my back patio and cried, not from sadness, but from the weight of safety. I had made it, and yet something was missing. Dating was a disaster. Men were intimidated, resentful, or transactional. I built walls so high no one could climb them. That's when I met Ethan. He was steady, kind, not impressed by my title. He knew I worked too much and didn't romanticize it. He listened instead of fixing. His ex-girlfriend had left scars. Trust issues he didn't hide, baggage he owned. But there was no drama, no overlap, no games. Just 2 damaged people trying to build something careful. Still, I kept part of myself locked away. Work was safer. Then, on a Tuesday in July, an email appeared in my inbox. Baker family reunion. Everyone welcome. My mother's maiden name. I stared at it for 3 days. Then I clicked RSVP. Attending. No name. I didn't tell Ethan I'd RSVP'd. Not because he wouldn't understand. He would. But because saying it out loud would make it real. And once it was real, I couldn't pretend this was just curiosity. This was something darker, sharper. Revenge, dressed up as closure. The reunion was 3 weeks away. Plenty of time to overthink. Plenty of time to remember. By then I was 30, a partner at Stevenson Financial. Net worth north of $2 million. A woman people described as intimidating before they bothered to learn my name. And yet, on my 30th birthday, I closed a deal in San Francisco instead of blowing out candles. No family calls, no cards. Just a text from Patricia, proud of you, kiddo, that made me cry in a hotel bathroom like I was 17 again. That email hit a nerve I'd pretended didn't exist. So I planned. I booked the best hotel in Tulsa, hired a luxury car service, bought a cream linen pantsuit that whispered money instead of screaming it. I wasn't going back to ask for love. I was going back to be seen. The morning of the reunion, I woke before dawn, nerves buzzing under my skin. Hair, makeup, polish layered on until the girl who slept in a bus station was buried so deep no one could dig her up. At 11, the limo arrived. The driver, James, held the door. "Where to, ma'am?" I gave him the address. The Baker family property looked exactly as I remembered. Scrubland, a leaning barn, a pond ringed by weeds. Cars lined the driveway. Trucks, minivans, faded sedans. The limo glided past them like a predator. I timed it for noon, maximum audience. As James parked, I watched heads turn through the tinted windows. Conversations stalled. Plates froze midair. When I stepped out, heels sinking slightly into the grass, the silence spread. 40 people, maybe more, and there they were. My mother, older, heavier, unfamiliar. Gary, grayer, smaller somehow. Derek, with a wife and 2 kids clinging to his legs. Madison, still scrolling her phone like the world bored her. None of them recognized me. Why would they? The girl they abandoned had been soft, scared, poorly dressed. This woman looked like she belonged in a boardroom. I stopped 10 feet away and removed my sunglasses. "Hi, Mom." Her face drained of color. "Joyce?" Conversations died instantly. "I was in the neighborhood," I said lightly. "Thought I'd stop by." "You look," she swallowed, "different." 13 years will do that. Derek stepped forward. "What are you doing here?" "Family reunion," I said, gesturing around. "Invitation said everyone welcome." "You weren't invited," Madison muttered, finally looking up. "Actually," I said, "the email didn't specify." I turned to Gary. "Still reading the paper every morning?" He didn't answer, his face flushed red. My grandmother pushed forward on her walker. "Joyce, is that really you?" "Hi, Grandma. Where have you been?" "Dallas, building a career," I smiled. "I work in finance." "Partner," my mother whispered. "The youngest in the firm's history." I let that sit. Then I kept going. "That first night sleeping in the bus station was rough," I said conversationally, "but things improved." The air turned brittle. "Bus station?" Aunt Carol asked. "What's she talking about?" "Oh," I said, raising my voice slightly. "Did they not tell you?" I looked directly at my mother. "They dropped me off after graduation with $69, a backpack of someone else's clothes, and changed the locks." Silence. Absolute. "You're lying," Derek said. "Am I?" I tilted my head. "How much were those locks, Derek? Ordered off Amazon, right?" His face answered for him. My grandmother's walker thumped hard. "Linda," she snapped at my mother, "tell me this isn't true." My mother's mouth opened, closed. "We thought she'd figure it out," she whispered. "She was always so independent." "Independent?" My voice sharpened. I was 17. Madison scoffed. "You're being dramatic." "Sleeping in diners is dramatic," I said. "Pneumonia is dramatic. Washing dishes until your hands bleed is dramatic." I paused. "But you're right, I should thank you." They stared. Getting abandoned was the best thing that ever happened to me. I gestured toward the limo. "So, thanks for the life lesson." I put my sunglasses back on. "Enjoy the potato salad." And I walked away. I didn't run. I walked back to the limo at the same steady pace I'd used, walking into boardrooms full of men who doubted me. Every step across that lawn felt heavier than the last. I could feel eyes burning into my back, hear whispers starting to fracture the silence I'd shattered. Just before I reached the door, my grandmother's voice cut through it. "Joyce, wait." I turned. She'd moved closer than I expected, her walker steady despite the tremor in her hands. Her eyes, still sharp, still observant, searched my face like she was trying to reconcile two versions of me at once. I didn't know, she said quietly. If I had known, I would have done something. I believed her. I'm sorry, she added. You deserve better than that. Something in my chest loosened, just a little. Thank you, Grandma. She fumbled in her purse, pulled out a pen and a crumpled receipt, and wrote her number with shaking hands. Call me sometime, she said, if you want. I will. I meant it. James opened the limo door without a word. The interior felt unreal, cool, quiet, sealed off from the chaos outside. As the door shut, the noise of my family faded into a dull echo, like a bad memory finally losing its grip. Where to, ma'am? James asked. Airport, please. The limo rolled down the long driveway. Through the rear window, I watched my family shrink into the distance. My mother stood frozen, paper plate hanging uselessly from her hand. Derek was already arguing with someone. Madison had her phone out, probably narrating the drama to strangers who didn't know my name. My phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Patterson. Heard you were back in Oklahoma. Everything okay? I typed back. Yeah, just settling old business, heading home. Proud of you, she replied. You turned out just fine. The tightness in my chest eased another notch. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Hello? Joyce? My grandmother's voice came through the speaker. I hope it's okay I got your number from the RSVP. It's fine. We talked as the Oklahoma fields blurred past the window. She told me my grandfather had died 3 years earlier, that he'd thought I'd chosen distance, not exile. That lie stung more than my mother's silence. I should have asked more questions, she said. That's on me. It's not, I replied, and for the first time I meant it. You're really doing okay? She asked. I looked at my reflection in the tinted glass, polished, controlled, scarred, alive. Yes, I said, I really am. When we hung up, messages started flooding in. An apology from Aunt Carol, a friend request from a cousin I barely remembered, a long email from Derek that I deleted without opening. Nothing from my mother. That was fine. I hadn't come back for apologies. I'd come back to be seen. The limo pulled up to my house just after 9. James carried my bag to the door and refused the extra tip. You take care of yourself, he said. Inside, the house was quiet and clean and entirely mine. I poured a glass of wine and sat on the back patio, staring up at the stars. My phone rang again. Grandma, I just wanted to make sure you got home safe, she said. And I'm proud of you. My throat tightened. Thank you. After we hung up, I stayed there for a long time, thinking about the girl at the bus station with $69 and a stranger's clothes. I'd wanted revenge. I'd gotten it. But what I felt now wasn't triumph. It was closure. I didn't need their regret. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need them at all. That girl died 13 years ago. The woman who replaced her built a life no one could take away. Tomorrow I had work, a client, a future. The past could stay exactly where it belonged, in the rearview mirror of a limousine, driving away from people who never deserved me.